Hello everyone and welcome to the EVN podcast. My name is Mikayel Khachatryan and my guest today was Mikayel Khachatryan, the co-founder and CEO of Wirestock. We spoke about how Wirestock has evolved as a tool for stock creators to a generative AI platform for artists. We spoke about what image generation using AI looks like today, how video generation is emerging, and what it will look like in the near future. Thank you for listening. Mikayel, thank you so much for coming back. You're now the third person to have a second episode on EVN.
That's an honor. Thanks for having me.
The last time we spoke was, I think, March. I think we recorded in March of 2022 and published in April. So it's been almost 2 years. Tell us what Wirestock has been up to in the meantime.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It is my favorite podcast show. And I'm always excited to be talking to you about AI and other things. To begin the story, I guess I'll just briefly, maybe for listeners who don't know what Wirestock is and how we started. So we started as a platform to help photographers sell or license their photos and then later videos on the largest stock photo marketplaces through a single account at a single website called wirestock.io. We then very soon introduced automatic keywording and captioning capabilities, so photographers don't have to do any boring non-creative work, and that made us really popular. Those two pieces combined together made Wirestock like a no-brainer for photographers, so we just basically grew and scaled that for 2 or 3 years. And I guess last time we talked was spring 2022. We were still in that scaling process. I think at the time we had 100,000 or something close to that, maybe more, contributors or content creators on the platform, and working with a dozen different marketplaces. So we were doing that and growing that. And then we kind of fast forward to end of 2022 is basically what happened was Gen AI models and tools became more kind of mainstream and more popular. People, including our users, our creators, started using Gen AI tools. And so we started getting lots of AI content created by, with tools like Midjourney, Stability, and others. Started seeing lots of AI images get uploaded on our site by both our existing creators and by a new sort of emerging sort of segment of creators, artists who were starting to use these tools and explore, and they were looking for a way to showcase and monetize their content. And Wirestock was that platform for them. We very quickly became the destination platform for this type of content. And because something interesting about that is more than 90% of content creators who use all sorts of Gen AI tools never share or monetize their content anywhere on the internet. So basically all that amazing stuff that's getting increasingly better and more interesting essentially gets buried in those tools and platforms and never gets shared in a place where it first could be licensed or purchased, or second could just be seen by others and maybe shared and discovered, like unknowingly.
It's just silent
and unplanned completely. We became that platform. And so we just started seeing so much. At first it wasn't that, it was still impressive from the technological standpoint, like where AI was already at that time and how quickly it was getting better. But it was, in the beginning, it wasn't so interesting from the commercial standpoint. We weren't seeing a lot of commercial value in those images. And so, but very quickly, like by, I think around like March, April, and May, I think it was another version of Midjourney that came out. We started seeing content that was very clearly gonna, have commercial, have interest among buyers and companies who were purchasing a lot of content for marketing or whatever other purposes.
Yeah.
So that's when we realized that we were gonna now work with a whole different type of content medium and different type of creators. So we started adjusting the Wirestock, the product, the service, our internal operations, our marketing efforts, and communication to now this new emerging group of artists, and also the sort of seeing us as part of the entire creative sort of supply chain / workflow that was being shaped and is still being shaped as we speak. So that kind of what happened sort of like early 2023. And then we launched a Discord bot very quickly that allowed uploading or like sending Midjourney images or other Discord native sort of Discord shared content directly to Wirestock for selling, or we also do creative challenges to participate in creative challenges or sell them. And then we did that, and then we were like, well, all these people are already sharing their content on Wirestock. Why not offer them a way to create content on Wirestock without leaving the platform, and maybe co-create at some point as well? So then we partnered with Stability. I think this was in July or August. So we launched our own AI generator.
Uses Stable Diffusion?
Using Stable SDXL that allowed basically generating images on Wirestock prompts or reimagining existing content through AI. So you could upload your photo and ask it to be reimagined in like anime style or other so some other use cases that were more sort of suitable or could fit more within the Wirestock's context, content distribution, etc. We did so, and then we kept on building that. Now we have hundreds of thousands of images generated on Wirestock every month, and then we added on top of that recently in December, which I'm really, really excited to talk about, is we released a feature that allows artists to create their own mini generators. Right?
What does that mean?
So like you could say you're a photographer or say you're an AI artist. So you create certain images that share like a common aesthetic or like a touch and feel or an environment, or are focused on a specific object or a character. You could upload them on Wirestock and train your own, fine-tune your own mini generator, your own, we call them themes. So you can create your own theme. This is like the content version of GPTs on ChatGPT, OpenAI. So, and then you can create that. So like if you are into like food photography or like, like sports photography or AI art, you could create basically a collection of images that share a very common aesthetic or kind of a vision and look and feel. And then you can train, fine-tune your own theme AI generator on Wirestock and either use it privately to generate more content in that style, or publish it for others to use. And then every time your generator is used to create new content, you get paid.
Oh, wow. So
we saw a new technology that enabled something that fit into our vision of helping artists to make money. So it was an immediate no-brainer for us to quickly build that. And we now have more than 2,000 themes, like personal AI generators published on Wirestock. You can search. We have all sorts of things and use them to generate content. And now we're working on the more curated version of that. So we're like featuring new ones every day. You go in and you see just some incredible stuff there. I'm personally addicted to them.
That's really fascinating because.
So that's kind of the whole story. So now we can get to more specific questions.
So I have a lot of questions about the themes, because this is sort of like a pain point in my life right now, working with some of these systems. Like it's both as simple as giving it a prompt and getting an output, but to really get what you want, Like there are all these different ways of, instructing it on the specifics of the background or keeping the character in the images consistent and stuff. And there's a bit of like a learning curve to get to it. So I want to dive into some of that. But before then, let's give people an idea of when we say AI can generate images at this point. I'm sure everybody has seen an image, but let's talk about what it can do and what it's been able to do over these last now like 18-ish months. Shortly after we spoke last time, these models were released, and they were still they were impressive because we kind of hadn't seen anything like that before. There were AI generated like deep fakes and images, like even in 2016, 2017, but this seemed like on a different scale. But faces were kind of blurred. They had 6 fingers. Like it was just kind of weird. And then a year out from there, like maybe 6, 7, 8 months ago, they started to get really, really good. Things became much more photorealistic, some much more beautiful detailing in the images and stuff. And then even then, just in the last like 2 months, it seems to have taken another level up with Midjourney 6, and DALL-E was released towards the end of 2023, DALL-E 3. Tell us what AI image generators can do today. Past just the general idea of, well, they generate images. What can and what can't they do?
That's a good question. So, and I'll maybe broaden it a little bit more, sure, and include AI video generators too, because that's what's coming, yeah, definitely next, and it's already here. So so you can create essentially almost any type of image in any style you want with the existing kind of like widely available tools and models, whether it's like so including a very wide range of categories and genres and styles, right? Anything from like anime, digital art, line art, like graphic art, to fine art, photography, like something that resembles fine art photography, super realistic, indistinguishable from real photos. We personally very often have a hard time, kind of telling the difference and detecting, which is part of our job, but it's becoming increasingly difficult. So anything can be created like that. There's a caveat that like certain objects and certain perhaps angles of certain objects, or objects shot in certain angles, or certain parts of certain objects, or human anatomy or body is still generally generated with some deformities, like the famous issue with fingers. And I think it's still pretty difficult, to like it's doing a really good job to generate an image of person, kind of facing the camera. Mm-hmm. But if you it's a slightly different angle, then it's not so good. There is some issues with having generating images with multiple people, like groups of people. There is some challenges there. All sorts of sort of like minor are like some detailed things that are not so inherently not so good yet. But the rate of improvement is absolutely fascinating. And then so there is going to be a whole development and a process of refining these capabilities with the image generators next 1 or 2 years, till it reaches like an almost perfect level where, if you want something that you want, you can create it. The process of what the creative process is going to be is still a question, and we think we have a role to play in that. But what's another sort of separate or partly separate development is with the video generators. What's happening is also another. It kind of like very like clearly is reminiscent of what was happening with the image generators. Like first it was very like
nascent,
very like clunky and kind of odd looking stuff. but very quickly it's becoming more, higher fidelity, more defined, easier to use. The ability to, now recently it came out that when you have an image, it used to be you could only animate one of the objects or people in them. Now you can sort of independently almost animate multiple objects or characters simultaneously with different animation styles.
Right.
So certain things like that are happening. And so that's super exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, you're already having like short films, commercials being created with the stuff that's very, very appealing and commercially interesting.
Yeah. There's been like a publicly released commercial that's been video generated using AI, you mean?
Well, there's the famous Coca-Cola commercial. I don't know if you've seen it, but it came out like, I think early last year. It's like this person walking into a museum and there's all this like fine art, paintings, and basically each painting gets animated, and you sort of like the sort of camera takes you into each painting, and there is a whole like a movie clip happening inside those paintings. Yeah. So they did that. I think Coca-Cola is probably the most active brand, like large brand that's experimenting with Gen AI. But what I am personally loving is just seeing there's a few like cool influencers or like creators on Twitter or X that you can follow, and they just constantly posting video clips that they're creating with Gen AI. It's freaking like fascinating. It's amazing.
I've tried a few of the video generators, but haven't been able to. It kind of feels like when I tried using image generators in like summer of 2022.
Yeah.
One, it was hard to do. The output was not particularly impressive, but it was kind of cool. So you're right. I feel like it's like maybe a year out or something, or maybe even quicker. But sorry, go ahead. Say what you're saying.
I think just like with regular photos, I mean traditional photos and traditional video clips, it's much harder to create an interesting short, even like a short clip or video, than just taking one cool photo.
Yeah. I mean,
just even artistic, creatively, forgetting about the technology aspect. Yeah. So we see maybe at least in the next 1 or 2 years, like more sophisticated users or artists using this stuff. So
then when you factor in like just generating an image, the latency, like how long it takes to get that image back, and then you think about the fact that a short video is like thousands of frames of those images, generating it sequentially is no small feat. In terms of how these things are actually being used and will be used, there's two areas, I guess. One is like commercial professional users. So users of products like Photoshop that now are Canva that has these tools integrated into it, and they're being used for not even full image generation, but like swap my background out for this thing and stuff, right? And then there's sort of like the personal users and the hobbyists, which like I would like fall into that camp. I like experimenting with it and trying to see like what I could come up with for this or that project. How do you imagine the ecosystem of tools developing for stuff like this? Like for people, for just like the everyday user who's posting something online, how do you think these things will get integrated into how they build the content that they post? Like, will it be, you take an image that you want to share online and then you augment it with a tool like this? Will it replace parts of the image? Will it fully be generated, a mix of both? How do you think these things will like start getting used for everyday things? Not just like, question. Hey, I built this thing with AI.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of predict those things and how they will kind of evolve, the tools and stuff. But I kind of see a pattern very similar to any any disruptive technology. I think first when it's launched, it's used by like tech enthusiasts, early adopters, just people who love new tech, really. And they just use it in all sorts of ways to kind of, for fun, and but to also impress their friends, etc. And then as it becomes more as it gets better first, and as it gets more popular, then you see businesses start adopting them and then there's all sorts of business use cases around them, and we see both like companies trying to go like kind of horizontally, like targeting, like building use cases for multiple, like for different business use cases, but also having companies focus on one. Like for example, like a company tries to build an AI tool that helps with product shots, like product photography. Another company might try that with like game character design. So you see like vertical solutions and then horizontal, like with Midjourney.
Yeah.
So all sorts of use cases and products around that. It's hard to say how it will go, but we clearly see that, with different foundation models and different tools, there's like pros and cons or certain strengths or weaknesses with different tools and different models. And I think that's how it's going to be in the future. Certain models will be good at doing certain things and others. So it would be necessary to combine multiple into having a more defined kind of product with clear use cases for certain business use cases that can be implemented. So,
but it's fundamentally entered the design process, right? Like,
oh yeah,
every video game, maybe not every video game that gets being developed today, but like in the near future, we'll have some sort of AI generated, augmented at least, like design.
So I personally do interviews with our users, a lot. And I talk to just people who are actively using our AI and non-AI tools. And I would say that like a large percentage, a significant percentage of our existing users who use our Gen AI tools are professionals in the creative space, creative industry. So you see people who are freelance designers who work for creative agencies, marketing agencies, or copywriters, like all sorts of creative professions. And what's also interesting is, and then pretty much what I keep hearing is, if you're not it's widely used in the creative process in those organizations already.
Even at like the ideation,
particularly in the ideation, brainstorming, client sort of pre-final production communication with clients. So you're working on a marketing campaign, and you can pitch ideas to your client with Gen AI content. You don't need the final photo shoot. And when it's finalized, then you can decide to do a photo shoot or still go with Gen AI. Right. And like we talked, I mean, this has already entered like major creative agencies in Hollywood, gaming if you're not using it, you're very much behind.
You're a caveman from the year 2021.
Caveman, yeah, like literally like not like orders of magnitude less efficient than your peers in other firms and stuff. So it's absolutely it's a huge boost for productivity, and it's silly not to use it.
It also opens up that world to people who weren't users of like complicated and sophisticated software systems like Photoshop, right?
Right.
Like Photoshop has been on my list of things to learn for like 15 years now, but the learning curve is just so steep and the like barrier to entry is so high that it just hasn't happened.
Right.
But now it's almost like just using natural language, I get what I would have gotten. Not exactly, but like, but I get as far away as I want to by just using a generator, right? So it opens up a whole world of people who were never going to get into that space to it because the tool is so easily accessible.
Right. Yeah.
Now, if they just move it off Discord, it will be more accessible, but but that's why platforms like yours exist.
For sure.
I'm curious, how much of your content now that you see on your platform is AI generated? Do you have a number to share?
Yeah, it's almost like half of it already.
Wow, 50-50. Yeah.
Half of it is. It's got a lower percentage of quality. I mean, we get a lower percentage of quality versus of quality images or content compared to traditional content. So, which is kind of something we expected, because, like you were saying, like more people are. It's kind of good, because now more people can use it and more people can create content almost seamlessly and really easily. But then it creates it results in bunch of like not very interesting content, or content with some quality issues that are not very easily noticeable for a regular, for a person with no art background or photography. And similarly, what we're seeing is people who have certain creative background, like in photography or film or art, are so much more impressive with these tools.
Right.
Like the stuff we're seeing, I'm not saying it's only them, but I would say there's like a much higher proportion of great stuff coming out from those individuals. And
just
it's super impressive.
Their eye is stronger for that kind of stuff.
For them, it's just a new tool in their tool set. But the whole, like the creative process for anyone is not just about the creation itself, or the like taking a photo, say, or drawing something. Like there's a whole idea of having like a creative vision, imagining something that's interesting, that could be visually interesting, and then bringing it to life. Like, so that whole process that precedes the creation itself is much more profound, and is where those people with creative backgrounds kind of excel and can create some super impressive stuff.
Yeah. You can really see that if you go digging into like where these sort of online communities have formed around these people. You see it's all created using the same tool, but there's a subset of people in those communities that are, you don't even know how they did this. Like you have the same tool, it's the same English language you're using to communicate with the thing, but it just turns out so much better.
Yeah, you can, I suggest you do to see sort of the latest in the AI creative world is we run creative challenges on Wirestock daily.
That's right. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the type of stuff that comes out of that is so incredibly impressive. Like we just did a black and white AI photography challenge, and I was checking out the winners. It's so incredible.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting and so well defined. Like I was just totally blown away, and then I just kept checking those out, and it's getting better and better. And more interesting. So yeah, that's an interesting way to see what's new in the creative space.
You guys do that every day?
Yeah, we do it a few times a week, every day. So yeah.
And it's centered around like some theme that you guys want to get more of those types of images into the pipeline, I guess?
Yeah. So we do generally the process of picking a topic for those challenges is by seeing like a gap in the market where, like certain people are looking for certain type of images and not finding them. And we kind of leverage and source content through those challenges and let people earn money through that. So
let's talk about themes. Your product. Tell me how you make a theme. What goes into the system prompt and things that you set up to get the theme, I guess.
Yeah. So we see themes as personal mini generators that represent a certain aesthetic or a certain style, or maybe a character with its style that are created by a person who's behind the theme. The process of creating one is super easy. So again, we use so the way it's done is a person uploads or imports from 10 to 100 images, depending on how specific they want it to be, to Wirestock. literally within a few seconds, and then sort of asks our system to fine tune a model, to fine tune a theme based on those images.
10 to 100 images of what you wanted to generate, like a person, for example?
What you want it to resemble or represent, right? So say, like I guess any photographer has their own style.
Okay.
Right? And then let's say if they do a photo shoot of, say, like, I don't know, New York City. So what would be in that shoot? Let's say if we take 20 photos, it would be the architectural style of New York buildings. It would be the streets. It would be the crowd, what people are wearing. And then it would also include the person's sort of stylistic input, like color grading and, lighting and how they see that particular area or the city itself. And then when a theme is created, the AI behind it learns from those photos. So once it's created, instead of writing a whole prompt describing of what it is, like a New York building with certain type of lighting, with people wearing this, the time of the year, right? Maybe this photo shoot was taken like in winter and it was snowing, whatever. So the theme already knows all of that information and is trained on that. So when you just write just building, right, it will create a New York City building when it's snowing, if the images featured snow, how people, the style that people wear in New York and on the time, right? Or if you say a person, it will immediately, like I personally, for my fun, I love the Taxi Driver movie. So I created a Taxi Driver theme. I didn't publish it because I can't, obviously because of copyrights, but I created for myself just to play around with it. And now if I generate content, it creates images in that style, in that artistic representation. And so then, so that is a super powerful way. So it's kind of like essentially any creative person, visual artist can create a tool that allows others, including their fans, to create stuff within their artistic style, within their vision.
Right.
It's incredibly powerful and nothing like we've seen before. So it's kind of similar, like technically and process-wise, it's very similar to creating GPTs for people who are into ChatGPT. Yeah. It's like, you want to create like an assistant, like an accountant assistant. You feed it with accounting stuff and how you want your accounting to be done, right? In this case, you feed it with a specific style, with a specific character, kind of theme, right?
So it can do character consistency too. Like I can give it 10 images of myself and it'll generate me and the images.
Yeah, it is doing a pretty good job of that now, but not perfect. So our themes are not currently are not built for like having doing a perfect like character consistency flow where you create a character and then it's the same character in every image that is generated. But you could say if I am training my theme with say like lots of people that are blonde and have long hair, if you type, let's say, a girl walking on the street, it's going to create a blonde person with long hair walking on the street because it's trained with that. It's not going to be the same person and face, but it's going to be very similar.
Okay. So
what it does, sorry to interrupt, what it does is it creates a whole different, like what you were saying earlier, a whole different process for creating, for the whole different creative process, right? So instead of going in there and coming up with crazy, detailed, sophisticated prompts, your process for creation starts and goes on visually, and you go in and let's say you want to create like let's say you want to create like a wedding photo, right? So you are a marketing agency and you want to promote, or you're like a wedding agency and you want to promote like weddings. So you would go in there and you type wedding, right? And then it would give you 30 different wedding themes that you could pick from. Those include like, ethnicities of people in those themes. It would include like the color grading, the style, if it's like, is it within, like it's an outside building or inside, outdoors, indoors. What are people doing? Are they celebrating, throwing flowers, whatever, holding flowers? And then you could pick a theme that best matches what you're looking for in your campaign or in your creative project. And then you go in there and you just write, let's say you want an image or a photo of a bride, and you just write bride. It already knows, let's say it's like a Spanish wedding theme, right? So it will create a Spanish looking person somewhere in Malaga, right? With a Spanish-like landscapes, maybe close to the beach, with like a Catholic Spanish church behind it, right? And so it will create that. Yeah. If you want like New York wedding, or Yerevan, Armenia wedding, very different, obviously. Yeah. It'll create in that style.
Yeah.
So very short prompts, and the discovery and the creative search happens visually.
What about like, can I tell it, for example, like with Midjourney, there's all these specific prompts that get it to, I don't know, like taken by an iPhone,
right?
Or like there's some other ones too. Right, that's a theme. So can you insert those as like a system prompt in the way you do with GPT, that like every time it just does that? Or is it done strictly from the photos that you give it as a seed?
So it could be done with the seed, but it could also be done in a couple of other ways. So for example, let's take that Spanish wedding concept, right? Example. So say you want to create an iPhone type of aesthetic visual of a Spanish wedding, right? One way of doing it is to find a theme just about weddings and then write the prompt,
right?
iPhone photo of a Spanish wedding, and then it takes the wedding concept and just adds those two.
Yeah.
But maybe with Wirestock's theme library becoming bigger, there's going to be a Spanish wedding theme soon. So you could find that, and you just write an iPhone photo,
right,
of a wedding,
so
and
like
it already knows it's Spanish and everything.
Right,
so it just adds that iPhone aesthetic, right, if it knows, if the foundation model knows about it.
Right.
And then, or perhaps you start with the aesthetic theme. So you search iPhone photo theme, and you find, like I actually created a theme, personal theme. I didn't publish it, but I created a theme of my iPhone photos, travel photos. And when I generate anything with that, it's got that iPhone look. Yeah, it's different, right? So so you could do that. And so if there is a theme, like I noticed 2 days ago, someone published a Polaroid style theme. So you write like anything in it creates with the Polaroid kind of specific style. So if there's an iPhone, so instead you could go and do like an iPhone theme and choose that, and then write Spanish wedding, and then it will create that.
No.
So it's the idea is shorter prompts, visual discovery, and just in general discovery. I love this stuff. I go in there, I find new styles every day.
Yeah. Can you mix themes to like it's kind of
not yet.
It's kind of doing half the work for you. Like you still put iPhone or whatever.
Yeah. We've seen people. You can mix a theme with a style. So we have some generic styles like anime, photographic. Right. You could sketch like very generic. You could mix that on Wirestock now, but not combine themes. Like yesterday, I was talking to one of our creators. It was so interesting. He's a developer, programmer, And he said, he joined Wirestock because of themes. And he was telling me how when he learned about the themes, the first thing he wanted to do is create a theme that's based on his hand-drawn, like almost doodle-like images. So he just took he said he took a pencil and just drew a bunch of doodle-like person, like a snowman, Christmas tree, dog running, like a bottle. And then he took photos of those hand drawings and uploaded to Wirestock, created a theme. It's literally like 20 seconds to create something like that. And then, so now he had a theme based on his hand drawings. And then what he did, and then the results of those image generators results were very like hand drawings, but slightly more like refined than what he was creating. So then he created a second layer. Then he created a second theme that was trained on the images that were generated with the first one. So now he has like a second theme that's more refined and closer to like a professional. And then and then he wrote like a Medium article about it.
That's fascinating.
It was so interesting. So we don't know the ways that people are going to use this thing.
That's the thing. Like when ChatGPT came out, and then when its subsequent API came out, people started like almost mockingly calling this whole project like prompt engineering, but it really is engineering. Like the way you speak to this thing, this model, like there are people who are so good at it that they get results that like are just blow your mind. And my dream product in this space, and it seems like you guys are like heading that way, is like go to the top like subreddits for like Midjourney and Stability and the other one and the other one, and like see the best things that people have made. And they're quite open about how they make it, right? They're like, first I did this, then I did this prompt, and then I put 2 dashes here, and then I got this thing. Like put all of those into buttons for me. Like for the lay person, the person who hasn't mastered the prompt engineering of Stability and these other ones, like just let me speak to it like a dumb human and get what that guy got. And I feel like that's probably like the trend. Like that's where we're headed. We have almost kind of organically, naturally lean into that direction with the product. And one thing that we do is it's super easy. One thing that the common feedback we get from our creators is that the process is really easy with Wirestock. We really don't like, so our entire journey from when we started, it's kind of funny and accidental like that. I remember that maybe the 10th or 15th user that signed up on Wirestock, this is back when we were just doing photos, right? He uploaded, at the time we required our users to write descriptions and keywords. So, but we would distribute images to multiple marketplaces, and we thought it was really easy and super cool. So this guy joined, he uploaded images, and then I checked his account, and the images were not submitted. They were not posted or like distributed to those marketplaces because he didn't write the descriptions and the keywords. And I DM'd him, thanks for using Wirestock. Why are you not selling your images? He's like, well, it's easy, but I hate writing descriptions and keywords for anything. So I was like, at the time it was clear for us that that's another step that has to be eliminated. So we didn't like texts. We never liked forcing people to write texts, textual content in any part of Wirestock, right? Even for things like description, where you think that's something that should be provided by the creator, right? So now we're taking the same approach with prompts.
We don't think a creative person should know that you need to write dash to create something within a certain style you want. We think the process should be completely visual.
That's super exciting too.
Yeah.
So is this like a membership based, like a subscription based thing? I pay monthly to use.
And then we're using the earnings from those subscription subscription plans to pay out artists whose themes were used.
Okay.
So there's a pool, like a creator fund, and based on how popular your themes are,
sure,
you're getting paid.
Yeah. Okay. Super interesting. And is there model selection with themes, or is it all stability?
Yeah, it's all, no, there's no model selection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, like, I think we had a conversation about this at some point. Does copyright come into this at all, or is it not a concern? Like, if I use, so like the taxi one is an easy example. Like, that's clear IP of the studio that made the movie and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if I do, if I give it 100 images of Saryan paintings, and then use that to generate Saryan style artwork, do I need to worry about making that theme public?
Yeah, we would probably not. It's kind of a good problem for our company to tackle, is because it's, in terms of our internal processes, nothing has changed. Like, we still, with deciding what kind of content can be publicly available, we still take the same approach. So if anyone is infringing on anybody else's copyrights, like if you're using somebody's photos to train your theme and then you want to monetize it, we're not going to allow it.
But for private use, it's okay.
For now, we let it happen privately, but we might add restrictions to that as well. Yeah. But definitely, we're not giving any licenses for any of that. Anything created with that. If you're uploading your own photos and you're training a theme with your photos,
that's fair game.
We're gonna let you monetize it, and we think it's a very powerful way for artists a new channel for artists to monetize, and a very, very easy way to do it.
Yeah.
So
that's really interesting. That it becomes an artist, or like a photographer's or an artist's monetization tool, because
we think it's actually a solution to the problem.
That's what I was going to say, right?
Yeah, because like one of the we've talked to a lot of artists, right, since we started. At first, we were also very cautious with AI when it first started, because we were very, very strict with copyright infringements since the very beginning, right? To a point where we were like maybe overcautious, right? But the one common pushback from artists that we talked to about using AI was, we hate that. This is like quoting them. They hate when their style is like explicitly used to create content. When you say like, I want a photo, in like Martin Scorsese cinematographic style, or certain movie like Pulp Fiction style, right? So that way you're like clearly using somebody's style, and the tool is kind of allowing that to happen. So this creates actually an appropriate, correct way of doing that, when the artist himself or themselves does it openly, and then not only makes it possible for others to do, but also can promote it, having the follower base that they have. Like, imagine an artist creating their theme and being like, hey, you could create stuff with my content now, and have fun with it, or and there's a monetization piece, there's a fair compensation piece, and obviously it's not we're learning how to do it most efficiently and correctly from different looking at it from different perspectives, like legal, technical, creative, and we're far from having like a final business model around it. For sure,
trying to figure
it's something that we're figuring out, but at least with this, we have found a way for artists to get compensated.
Which is fantastic.
For their creative input. It's
kind of interesting though, like what's a famous Like artists, including photographers, when they put their work out in the public domain, they influence the way we create things, right? So if it wasn't an AI generated, this is getting a little too philosophical probably, but like if it wasn't an AI generated thing, if I just went and photographed in the way that some other famous photographer photographs because I was influenced by their style, that would be totally fair game, right?
Right.
So it's
well, if you well, actually, there is it would be considered copyright infringement if you copied somebody's style and try to license it. If you create something that mimics somebody's photographic style, and then you license it, as someone pays you, I don't know, $200,000 for that photo, and it's clearly a copy of somebody else's photographic style, you actually might be infringing on somebody's copyrights.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you distinguish styles?
There's ways. Yeah. There are ways to determine that.
So like there's a specific style of shooting.
$1 million lawsuits on that. Yeah.
Like there's a specific way of shooting the Empire State Building that belongs to that person?
Actually editing more.
Wow.
The lighting and the color grading, etc.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah. There are literally like $1 million lawsuits on this.
Wow. Okay.
So, but with this, if a person is
they can
letting other people,
it,
then it's fair game.
Right. So we're now in early 2024. That's going to be a hard question.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I already know.
I remember exactly 5 years ago in like January 2019. This was like a year before the start of the election season in America. There's this video that came out, a deep fake video of Obama with just his mouth moving. And people were just absolutely blown away by this. Now it seemed like so primitive and like stupid. But his mouth was moving, and I think there was even something with his voice that they had sort of copied his voice. And he was saying something that clearly he hadn't said. And people were like, this is like just opening the floodgates to God knows what and this and that. Today, those tools are being viewed. I mean, there's still a lot of concern around like how these tools will be used. And it's an inevitability, I think, that like more and more content that is presented to be real will emerge online. Just in terms of like how much progress we made in 5 years, we went from something that was, oh my God, this thing can happen, but it's still so fake, to 5 years from now, five years later, it's like
real?
Insanely realistic.
Yeah.
The output of it. 5 years from today, what do you see the step function being?
Yeah, we thought about it, reflected and thought about all these changes so much. And well, I think it's going to be maybe it's hard to say like 5 years from now, but maybe 3 years from now, I think the tools are going to be so great that, it will essentially allow anyone creating anything that they could create in real life that has ever been created in real life, right? So any type of content that's ever been created, you could recreate it using AI tools. I don't know how difficult it will be. I'm assuming it will require some knowledge or skills, but it will be possible. However,
sorry, go ahead.
I think there's still going to be a need for human input to enrich the AI.
Yeah.
So I think like there's still going to be a need for people to kind of create something new and retrain the AI in a way.
Sure.
So and I don't see it ever like maybe going away anytime soon.
Yeah,
honestly.
Of course. Yeah.
So that's what actually is super exciting for me. And I think going 3 years from now, I think or 5 years, like I'm excited to see like partly or fully AI created movies.
I was just going to ask that.
Commercials.
Yeah. You think we'll see a feature-length film generated by AI in 5 years?
Yeah.
Feature-length.
Yeah. I think 5 years from now, definitely.
Yeah.
I think maybe next year we'll have like film festivals, maybe short film.
A short film, yeah.
Yeah, maybe not feature, but short film festivals that either have all AI or a significant proportion of AI in it.
Yeah.
And we actually want to be part of it with Wirestock, like part of the anything that has to do with distribution, licensing, and monetization of AI or AI accompanying skills, we want to be part of that change. So
distribution, even past like just individual creator looking to sell on marketplaces, you mean?
Yeah. So we don't know what exactly we're going to be doing like 3 years from now, obviously, but we're seeing that a completely new medium is being created with a completely new sets of tools and we see a clear need for a new marketplace where you could a marketplace or distribution channel where you could access other people's creations, co-create.
What do you mean by co-create? You said it a couple times.
Yeah, so like so say you could someone could create an image that you like, or say someone there's two approaches. There's co-creation with traditional content and there's co-creation with AI content. So let's say like in both examples, someone is a very good visual artist or a graphic designer or a character designer. They create an image and upload it on Wirestock, say, and then you could take that image and animate it with an image to video tool, and then you could have someone else add like music to it. And then you could have someone write the script for something like that, or direct the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it could be done online, with maybe a group of people that are co-creating, and there is like a final creation that's featuring many people's inputs, and there's a compensation element to it. So that's kind of where we don't know how exactly that is going to play out, but we're already seeing people do
early steps,
variations of that, early steps of that. So that's super exciting.
Yeah. This is such a fascinating world. And there's so many,
absolutely,
so many layers that are sort of being developed in parallel. Like on the voice side, now there's pretty good, like you read these few lines and then it'll mimic your voice when generating it. On the text side, like the creativity of AI is getting better and better. Now you have image and video generators. Like you have within like one interface, the 3 channels you need to create like full commercials, like you're saying, or something.
Yeah, all of it.
So the world's about to get weird.
Yeah. And it's creating like with images. You've already seen that, people are creating visuals and concepts that never existed.
Yeah.
Right. Like like there's a creator who does say like hamburger, like pizza style clothes.
Yeah.
Like these are like a bag that's a pizza, right? Something like weird like that. That we had never seen.
Yeah.
Like it just never existed because now you have this tool. It makes it so easy for artists to experiment with visual concepts that you start seeing things that never existed, and it's going to apply to movies as well.
Not just visual artists. Like I watched this hour plus video on YouTube of this writer who's doing world creation, which is like, for those who don't know, like in literature, if you like, for example, Lord of the Rings, Tolkien built a world, right? Like where the hobbits lived and everything. Like he was just like constantly prompting and like ideating on different things and coming up with, or like, like as the phrase goes, like co-piloting a whole new world for his stories, right? Yeah. And all that then goes into literature. And it's such a great extension of your imagination.
It's incredible. It's like, so say you have Pulp Fiction, right? So you could take any character in a Pulp Fiction movie and create a character like sequel or prequel, with AI video tools getting better, and then push it out to the public and see if there is interest. Yeah. And if they like it, it makes it so easy to like create pilots of shows and films and things, and then like kind of experiment, like A/B test films and commercials. And if people like are kind of gravitating towards a certain character, prequel, sequel, or a commercial of certain brand in a certain way, then you could, invest more resources and have more people contributing to it. And then you could have a whole movie or a book or a commercial out of it. Yeah. So that's the true exciting thing, about it. So
it unlocks huge like imaginative potential, and that's super exciting. In a couple of years we'll come back and we'll see where we are with it.
I know. I'm sure it's gonna be a completely different situation.
For sure. Mikayel, thank you so much. We'll do it again.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Likewise.